Loading. Hey! Wow! Off camera. It is great to be back, ladies and gents, hunks and honeys out there, wherever you are. It's been a sizzling hot minute since we've been giving our Hardcourt Hunnies usual takes, but today we are back. Today we have our usual Jade Auxiliary Things Johnson, and then we got
Hey.
Shay watches the NBA Vassar. And thank you so much for you guys for the pause and everything, sticking with us, staying true to us. But just to start off, so Jade, now that the pause is done, are you ready for the season now?
I'm so ready. I haven't been this ready for a basketball season, maybe ever. I think it's going to be such an interesting season. I think we're going to try and do some predictions a little later, but I think predictions are going to be very, very difficult this year. I will get more into that, but yeah, I'm pumped.
It's gonna be a great one. And Shay, so with this new season, you got two teams that you can be going for right now. You got your you we got your Nets, and then you got your Thunder. So like who you staying true to this year?
Well, I'm still going to be watching both, but for different reasons. They're in different stages where they are currently at as teams. The Nets are kind of in unhinged, about to blow up at some point. We just don't think it's going to be on the court type situation, if you know what I mean. Like they're not going to be, yeah, that's going to be drama. But then we have OKC, who is figuring out their footing and the second year of a real rebuild. So I think that both are going to be surprising for different reasons, and
Mhm.
I'm excited about it. I mean, the whole NBA, like Jade said, like I've been trying to come up with predictions, no idea what is going to go on, because if you had told me that the Celtics would have made it all the way last year, did not see that coming. So, and that was a more predictable year. Come to this season, no idea. So we'll get into that, but
You can watch a team that could be title contenders, then you could watch a team that could be getting Victor Yabba Dabba Doo from France.
Come on.
Eventually, once it
We
gets
are
to
a
the league,
basketball show. You have to pronounce his name.
is it
Banyama. Just like it's
Wenbenyama?
spelled.
Okay, Wenbenyama. I like Yabba Dabba Doo better, but whatever. But okay, so this week, what we're going to be getting into. So without further ado, so we're going to be talking about the not too sexy times in Boston right now, the punch that was heard throughout Golden State, our NBA predictions, and then our local expectations for this week. So, as usual, we got the hot takes, the funny stuff, and everything in between. So, starting off, so Jade. So, the story right now in Boston is that Boston's head coach, Ime Udoka, has fraternizing with one of the Boston Celtics higher ups. And what's weird also is that in this process, Idoko had been moving his wife, Nia Long, can we all point out, in this process. Um, Now that the team has suspended him for a full year because of the relationship, um, Jade, do you think a full year, or what's your take overall with this?
Well, first of all, I personally always think it's a little weird when companies say that you can't date people within the company. My ideal situation is a disclosure agreement if there are relationships. I I personally would never work at a place, and I get that it's the NBA and there are only so many jobs, but I would never work at a place that said, "Oh, if you meet somebody here and you both work here, you can either one of you can quit or you can't be together." Like I always think that's weird. But on the other hand, it was in their contracts. They both signed the contracts. What are you doing? Like, don't crap where you eat. You knew this was not okay. Besides the cheating, that's a personal thing. I don't really care about their personal stuff. People cheat. In my experience, cheating doesn't usually happen in a vacuum. There's usually some responsibility on both sides. So I don't know their relationship. I obviously don't know them. I don't really want to speculate on that. But when we're talking about the basketball side of it, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're a team that went to the finals last year. You had every chance to be the repeat Eastern Conference Finals team.
Coming back better with Malcolm Brogdon, please.
Where are your priorities at, dude?
And it sounds like it's been going on for a hot minute now, too. So I'm surprised it's taken this long with Boston. If it were Danny Ainge at the helm still, it would have been caught, and then he would have traded away Udoka for 5 first-round picks. Shay, what's your first thought when you heard the news break out and you learn more what's going on?
So at first I was the same way, where I was like, why is he being suspended for personal stuff? Then of course it did come out that it was a signed thing. When you sign a contract, like, there's no way around that, especially when, like, you're working for a huge worldwide corporation. Like, this isn't some small little company. I think also, like, the cheating aspect of it, like, doesn't bother me, except for more and more is coming out that is speculating that maybe she was also, like, someone, I don't know, like, there was some stuff where maybe her husband or something had, like, a connection to Danny Ainge. I saw something about how she's, like, a Mormon, and that's why, like, they're being really weird about, I don't know, like, there's some weird stuff. Also, I've been on Reddit, so
because I mean,
okay, I know Reddit has
you are, oh boy,
man, I've gone down the Reddit hole hard. Like, every single thing I'm interested in, I'm in a Reddit group. Like, since last time we were all together. I get it.
No,
it's a slippery slope.
It's like, oh, I read about, like, Game of Thrones, skincare, NBA all at once. It's great. Reddit is fabulous, but Reddit for getting non-like controversial / non-conspiracy theory fueled ideas, not the place. So I'm interested to see more, because I love mess, I love drama, but I also don't care about, like, if they were both single, they still broke a contract, so it makes sense why he was suspended for a year. I think it also makes sense that it was only a year, to be honest, just because, like, that's probably what policy is. And it seems like at this point they're just kind of following straight policy while trying not to get the PR to be bigger than it should be.
And I agree with the year thing too, because I think sometimes when people make a mistake, or whatever you want to call it, in our culture, when they're famous, we want them to be gone forever.
Right.
Cheating and violating a term of your contract is not a reason to lose your job forever.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone cheats. Like, I mean, I know that sounds bad, but, like, we look at, like, pastors cheat and we're not canceling them, and they're still leading tons of congregations. Celebrities cheat all the time, and then they go and make more money on the next movie that they star in. So it's just like, it is what it is. But when you sign a contract saying that you're not going to have a relationship in the office, you can't have a relationship in the office.
Yeah.
This is almost essentially the exact same situation that happened to the Timberwolves last season with Gerson Rosas. We fired him right away. Granted, with that situation, we were also looking for a way.
I was going to say, yeah, you guys needed a reason to get a real coach.
A way to get, because he was, I figured out, toxic to the team itself. One thing I did learn about while reading about this Boston scandal is another thing that really took the cake or pushed it over a little bit was the language and verbiage that he was using with the consensual relationship, and that was the thing that pushed Boston over too.
See, and I find that weird.
Suspect?
I find it weird because how you talk to somebody who you're in a consensual relationship with, like, there are definitely certain ways that I don't ever want to be spoken to by someone I'm involved in. Everyone's not like me. So, like, it's odd to me that if this language was so unacceptable, specifically to her,
right?
Why is she continuing in this relationship? And if it wasn't offensive to her, why is it an issue here.
Yes.
And except, I guess, for the idea that they worked together. But
Like, is the NBA just kink shaming?
that's my question.
Right.
Is this now the only kind of loophole that I see for this is, was it things said during working business hours?
True.
That's the only, but like beyond that, it's like whatever two people do in the privacy of their own relationship and how they want to speak to each other is their business. It's so, unless it happened like during work time, I don't really see how that's relevant.
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing too. Is it, how detrimental is it to the front office itself?
Yeah.
So are you surprised though, Jade, that it is a full season and not just getting rid of them?
I think the full season was the way to go. We see this a lot in seasons, even when it's a player that's injured and you go through your season and they come back and you got to work them back into the lineup. It's a difficult thing to do. When it comes to your players, though, you need the bodies. You need all your bodies. If you've got a star coming back off injury, obviously you got to work them back in. When you're talking about a coach, you don't want to have one person coaching part of the year as a head coach based on a suspension. Right? We're not talking about a sickness. We're not talking about a family emergency. We're talking about a suspension. I think it's the right move to say, listen, we're going to take the season. We're going to take the year. Boston has basically the same roster. If their success was based more on the roster than the coaching, Boston should be in a great position again.
Yeah.
And you have the chance in advance to say, listen, if we have momentum, we're not going to screw it up by bringing the coach back mid-season. Let's just make it a clean year, reassess after that. I really hope he gets to keep his job, personally. Partially that's because white men have gotten away with a lot worse for a lot longer and had no repercussions whatsoever. So I really hope that he returns as Boston's head coach. Like, I think they've handled it as well as they need to handle it. I don't think there's anything more they need to do, unlike the Sarver situation, which I was very disappointed in the NBA with that. I think this is different. But yeah, the year I think was the right move. Just there's a lot of reasons that just makes the most sense to me.
Well, and it seems like that's what they're kind of planning, considering they are trying to keep it very PR friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you're the NBA, you're also the Boston Celtics. So because of the way your season went last year, the fact that you're a huge franchise and like one of the recognizable ones all over the world, you have the capacity to hire like a really good PR team for this. So I think in general, they are trying to salvage his career in a way that, like, again, because we're all on the page that it's like, what happens in a consensual relationship between two adults is their business. Like, again, you deal with it with what was broken in a contract or a signed statement, but they're like, you do the punishment, whatever, but they're also not like completely like hurting the guy and the woman. Like, I think that's really good too, because I mean, shoot, like there's some other drama that goes on in the NBA world that's like a touch pop culture-y, and you'll have people that are investigating it, trying to out the person like within days. So the fact that this has stayed as under wraps as it has is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, so Shay, that actually kind of brings me up with my next question. So this is the second time in 1 year that something like this similar has happened. Like I said, with Rosas.
Yeah.
Are more things going to come out because now that people are coming out with things, or is it still going to be the similar? We're going to keep it real hush. Occasionally, things might come up. Like, what you think is going to be happening from here with that?
I think things are going to be coming out. So I've gotten really obsessed with the Instagram account called Dumois. It's a pop culture like it's like TMZ if TMZ was like somewhat ethical, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
everything's pretty much anonymous. You give tips, like, you know, you'll be like, oh, I saw Chris Rock eating lunch at this place in New York. You like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's for us pop culture, like celebrity nerds. And they are saying that more stuff is going to come out. And usually they do have insiders on these things that turn out to be true. So that's the only worry that I have. Because like, again, like as far as I can see, I don't see this turning into something that needs to be like canceled. Like, I don't really need, you know what I mean? Like, because like Jade said, there's much worse that has happened in the NBA and other professional sports and other professions with celebrity at all. So, like, it is what it is. Like, the man cheated. His wife is really hot, or fiance is really hot, and that's unfortunate for her. But she also seems to be dealing with it pretty well. I mean, like, she's
Nia
not.
Long, she can bounce back fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, come on, she's like fine. Was it kind of a shitty thing to do? Probably.
Cheating always is kind of a shitty thing to do.
Exactly. We're human. People make mistakes. People move on. Like, we have literally seen celebrities that are like accused of sexual assault get elevated more and more. So it's just like, I just
NFL.
I can watch the sport, the people in it. I'm like, nope.
I know.
It's rough. It's hard.
Well, all right. Speaking of over aggressiveness in situations that maybe not be needed, we're going to be switching over to the punch in the bay that everyone saw and heard. If you guys didn't know, it was Draymond Green knocking the living hell out of Jordan Poole after Poole pushed him in a practice. TMZ was able to get the video of this all happening. Now Draymond Green has stepped away for a couple of days away from the team. He's apologized. Jordan Poole hasn't accepted apologies yet. Jade, what's your take with this entire situation now?
So it's a combination of things. Do I condone beating other people? No, I don't. Does it happen sometimes because we're imperfect and, you know, we have moments of weakness? I think it does. We know it does. It happens. The thing that I'm the most surprised about is what I've seen kind of on NBA Twitter of saying like, oh, Dre's been such a problem and now it's getting, you know, it's gotten to this point. I'm like, whoa. And the thing that I always think is like, because of the people making the comments, do you consider Dre a big problem because he is an outspoken Black man? Is that actually your problem with Draymond Green? Because like, to me, in my memories of him, this is uncharacteristic behavior for him. We're not talking about Ron Artest or, you know, insert problem NBA star's name here, that they have a history. And if you hear that they punch somebody in practice, you're like, yeah, not super surprised. I was surprised.
Yeah.
So whatever's going on with them is what it is. But to say that now they have to get rid of him or he's such a big problem or blah, 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 blah. Like, I just don't see that.
Shay, what's your first take after hearing all of this?
Well, I thought it was funny because like it happened and like, okay, Draymond is a little off the cuff. There's been times that he's been fined for being on TNT.
Draymond?
Yeah, remember he's
been fined for being Draymond.
Right, yeah. Right. No, okay, you're right. Like, because like he doesn't really have a filter. And like Jade said, like in a way, he doesn't have a filter. He sometimes annoys me. I won't lie. But he's also not known for being like super aggressive, like in a way that other players are. Now, what was surprising to me was Kenny the Jet saying, "Oh, this is blown out of proportion. This happens all the time in practice." I'm like, okay, look, I don't think so.
I do.
You do?
I do.
Well,
You're talking about.
I was about to throw out a quote by Steve Kerr. And where is that quote? He said, "In the 32 years, I've probably seen 20 plus fights. It should not make it out of our out of our walls. When things are kept internally, it's almost easy to handle. As soon as things are leaked, all hell breaks loose. That affects every single player and coach. If you had a camera on your family and there was a family dispute, would you really want to discuss it with the world?
No. And
No.
it would look worse than it is
And then
from outside.
Klay Thompson had a quote too. A lot of people are kind of going to at least defense for Draymond. And so Klay Thompson says that this was, if you can't handle it, you shouldn't play for the Warriors. And it's practically by law, as he says, to be listening to Green. Yes, Steph Curry is the best player on the team, but Draymond's kind of the heart.
He is.
So going from there, Shay, do you think the punch was personal at all?
Probably. Because like, again, Draymond might have a slick mouth and he might like hit other players in the balls, but like that feels a little bit more personal than like, you know, a little street ball action on the court. Like, you know, that, and also because it's a teammate. I think that was the biggest surprise to me is like, if you hear that two opposing players like get into a physical thing, it's like, oh, well, yeah, because tension is high, they're competitive. Also, they are professional competitors. Like, this is a whole different thing. But for me, I'm like, oh, your teammate, I assume it's personal.
Here's my take on that. And it also comes back to the reason why I'm not surprised that this happens. And what Steve Kerr said kind of backs that up. Like, if Steve Kerr's seen 20 punches, we don't know about all the punches Steve Kerr's seen. I can't think of 20 practice punches that I know about. Steve Kerr is one
knocked
coach.
out himself by Michael Jordan.
Steve Kerr is one coach for 30 teams in the NBA. This shit happens. And if you hear about a family that has like 5 boys, they can be a really close family. They're going to fight sometimes. They're going to throw punches. Doesn't mean they don't love each other. It doesn't mean they're not brothers anymore. But you get a whole bunch of dudes in a room with all that testosterone and all that competitiveness and getting themselves all worked up. It's going to happen. And I remember I was talking to my ex about it, and he's like, oh, this would never happen on the Raptors. I'm like, this has happened on the Raptors. Pascal Siakam and Nick Nurse got into it the season after the bubble. So 2019-20, when Siakam was struggling, he's having a really hard time. And the team suspended Pascal. And Nick Nurse said, listen, we're family. We're going to fight sometimes. We're going to make up after. And to me, as I always say, the Warriors and the Raptors are in the same top tier class of organization in the NBA with how they handle things, how just like the high quality trickles down from the top. It doesn't mean you're never going to have a fight. It's about how you deal with it. And unfortunately, in this situation, because the video was leaked, it makes it a lot harder to deal with. And man, whoever did that, I'm sure they got
Hugo bucks.
Oh, for sure. But like, they're going to get, the Warriors are going to sue their pants off.
Exactly. Oh, no, they're going to find out.
Putting an investigation in.
Yeah.
There are cameras everywhere.
Like, whatever they made from selling that video to TMZ is already gone in legal fees and some.
Yep.
It's gone.
Yep. So Draymond is looking for the extension. He has said that they don't think that there will become an agreement for this extension. Shay, how much of this will be taken into consideration, or will it just be completely ignored? Jordan Poole is also up for a rookie extension, I will add too with that. So we have 2 people in a contract situation, and Draymond wants almost the max extension. So, Shay, where does this land?
I mean, it didn't happen on the court. It didn't happen where, say, that would have gotten him thrown out of a game, possibly penalties or like fines. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't really think this is going to play into it unless it becomes an issue in the season. Like, and I know that might undermine some of my other arguments that I think it's personal and that this doesn't happen all the time and stuff, but it's different than it happening on the court. And it's also different. in this case, because it happened in a closed practice with another teammate, it's not like it happened with a coach, a trainer, a fan. Like it's an in-house thing. So I think they're going to keep it in-house, and that it'll be more about Draymond and his past performances with the team, which has been iconic. I mean, that team is kind of annoying that we are still talking about them.
Still talking about them.
Still talking. And it's like a lot of the same players. Like, it's so flippin' annoying. But
see, I find it absolutely the opposite of annoying. If every team developed talent the way the Warriors do, the league would be incredible. Every game would be amazing. Every game would be a contest. We wouldn't have blowouts. And back to Taylor's original question about the extensions for Poole and Draymond, I really think the luxury tax is the biggest issue in that equation. I don't think the punch is really it's more of a non-factor compared to the fact that their luxury tax, if they can keep both of them, is going to be astronomical. And I personally think that the league should change the way that they apply luxury tax depending on how a player is acquired. So, like, if you are signing an all-star in free agency, you should pay more luxury tax than if you are re-signing an all-star that you drafted and you developed, which is the case for the Warriors. I don't think it's fair that they're going to have to lose players that they invested in and they developed because the luxury tax, it's not functioning with what it was designed to do to me in the Warriors case. So when it comes to the extensions, I think the punch is going to be a non-factor. I think they're going to get over it. The season's going to start. All will be forgotten. They're the Warriors. They've been their dynasty for a reason, and that doesn't go away because of one altercation in practice.
And Draymond's always been Draymond. If you, like Clay said, if you can't handle what Draymond does
and says,
it's like with Kobe. It's like with all the great players.
Yeah.
If you are the franchise leader and you can't handle what they are doing, or like heart of the team, if you can't handle it, you can't handle being on the team because it's them they're building around. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's them.
Not yet, Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole, though, I called out. I said either it was Damian Lee or Jordan Poole that they were grooming when the year Steph was out, because they were playing them together a lot. I'm like, they're trying to figure out which ones are going to be taken.
Who's going to be,
So I was right for once, finally, on that stuff. Usually I'm always wrong. Last thing, I didn't tell you guys about this one, so this is going to be just a quick fire question.
Rude. No, I'm just
surprised.
Hey, no, this doesn't necessarily even have to do with NBA. I mean, it does, but which slap is louder? The punch here or Will Smith on Chris Rock?
Will Smith.
Oh my gosh.
It was the Academy Awards.
Well, and that whole thing is like, because the difference between NBA playing and really any sports is there's expected to be a little bit physical.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The expectation is that dudes are going to get worked up.
The thing I compared to, I'm like, both of those are clean shots. Like, I've never seen such a perfect punch by an NBA player ever.
That's what I was thinking when I watched it. I was like, dang, like he did not pull it at all. His whole body was in it. Like,
him. I'm like, I don't want to get too much in their dirt, but at the same time, I want to know what was being said.
Seriously, like Draymond was not playing.
Yeah, like he was right in the face. And then Jordan Poole, you should know Draymond's a hothead like that. I know maybe you're having a bad day too, but let's put one and one together. Come on now. Draymond's not afraid to do this stuff. He's done it. Jordan, wait your turn.
That's why I think it was personal. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's fair. Like, I don't condone it, but I think they're blowing it up, because if we didn't see the TMZ video, we would just say team had altercations. We'll be looking into it.
Well, and it was the timing too, right? Right before the beginning of training camp. There's nothing to talk about in NBA. Same with Ime Udoka. Like, off season, it was a quiet off season. It wasn't a crazy free agency. And all of a sudden there's this stuff going on, and it's something to talk about and something we can, dish over the tea about. I think that's part of it. If this had been like mid-season, they're in the throes of the NBA season, and it would have been like whatever. It would have made one news cycle, and we would have been done talking about it.
Kind of wish it was just one news cycle, but because now it's going to be something that we might have to gloss over for the rest of the season. There's going to be one little.
It'll depend. If the Warriors are the Warriors and they win games, and no one's going to even remember this happened in 2 months.
This, I think, at least for the time being, will really show what Steve Kerr is as a coach. He hasn't had this big of an issue before. He's had one of the nicest players in NBA history with Steph Curry. Like he had. This is, for me, this is game time for him. This is game time for us.
I have full confidence in Steve Kerr.
I do too. Yeah. Like he said, he's seen plenty of fights. He's gotten punched out by Jordan. So, I mean, I think he knows a thing or two about getting punched out by a guy. And that's not even the greatest player of all time that got Jordan Poole didn't even get punched by the greatest player of all time. Anywho, so I think we're going to switch
throw that in there. Like,
yeah.
Just a little.
We're gonna kind of wrap up this episode doing some pretty simple stuff. We're just gonna be going off now with just our overall season predictions, because that's what you kind of got to do when you're doing a sports podcast or a sports show. Shay, let's start off. Who are your 2 finals teams, and then tell me who you have winning.
Oh my!
This year it's a toss-up. So
it's
like,
so hard this year.
It's a toss-up.
I don't even know, because like, oh my god. Like, part of me wants to say, oh my god, I like, because I'm still a Westbrook fan, like, I would love to see the Lakers only for that reason.
Let's get into the play-in first, and then we can talk.
Whatever.
Get AD through the end of the season.
But like,
end of the season, let's get AD through the All-Star break.
Okay,
Through that.
That's true. Like, AD is their weakest. People like to blame it on Westbrook, but I'm like, at least Westbrook's playing. Like,
Westbrook's
I don't know.
Always available. Westbrook is always available.
Always there. Like, for the last 5 years, he doesn't miss games for injuries unless he's tired, because he has to play all the time because his other teammates are out. Anyway, but I don't really know about the other conference. Like, I'm such a player specific person that I don't know the overall view of the conferences this year. So it really is anyone's game.
It is. This year it is.
And that's kind of the scary part, is right now, if you think about it, there's so many little tiny aspects to every team that could be what makes it or breaks it, that it's up to anyone, except for maybe OKC. I don't know. I don't see OKC going all the way. I love you guys, but no.
Orlando.
Okay.
Purgatory of the NBA. Orlando.
Right.
Detroit Pistons. Purgatory.
So I will say I definitely have picks, and it's all about continuity. The Bucks and the Warriors.
Bucks and the Warriors.
From where we are right now, with the way that the league is laid out, the only teams that are successful, been to finals or won finals, that have a strong level of continuity are the Bucks and the Warriors. I would have said Boston until they lost Udoka for the year.
Right.
Because they're coming off the finals. They have the same roster. Williams is injured, but they expect him to be available.
Brogdon's an X factor. They don't have a true point guard. And Brogdon is as true as you can get at being the point guard position.
Now, that said, the only one of those 2 teams I'd be willing to put money on is the Warriors. I think the Eastern Conference is wide open. I think a lot of teams have added pieces. The problem is we've never seen those teams with the pieces they've added, so it's hard to know how they're going to be. But I think there's a few teams in the Eastern Conference and a couple in the Western that we should keep an eye on, because they're going to have interesting seasons.
I say watch out for Dallas, because
I like Dallas.
Obviously you got Luka, but they got Chris Wood, who has been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's almost 20-10. Only
Yeah.
going to get better with Luka. And they got JaVale McGee, who is a solid presence on a team. So
yeah, and I think Luka, I just have a feeling Luka's going to have a season. Like the kind of season where the haters have to shut up. So if you want to call that a prediction, I think that's one of mine for a player. I think Luka's going to be fire this year.
I hope so. Like we need that from him because he's like the darling that hasn't gotten that quite yet.
Yeah. Well, between that Suns series last year,
right,
and playing all in EuroLeague, and he's just I think he's got the momentum to have an exceptional season.
He's got all the tools for it finally. He doesn't have to carry as much. Okay. We're at award winners. Start off MVP. Shay, who are you thinking of?
Let's just give it to Giannis again. Why not? Like, sure.
That's fair. The number 1 rated overall 2K player at 97 overall. Yeah. Jade,
Exactly.
What is your idea for MVP this year?
Joker.
You got him going back to back with it?
I got him going back to back. I don't think there is another person in the NBA that does as much as Joker does. Now, there's a little bit of a caveat that he's getting his help back this season. So he's going to have less required of him. So my kind of backup pick is Luka.
Backup pick, Luka. Gotcha. Jay, defensive player of the year.
Ooh. I'm going to go out on a limb. I want to say Rudy Gobert this year. I think he's going to play in an expanded role in Minnesota compared to in Utah. I think it's going to be interesting to see him in a different scheme, in a different system. I know he's known as being defensive, and he gets a lot of hate for not scoring as much, but like his job wasn't to score in Utah.
It doesn't mean he can't. Player.
He's right. So
Utah
like
never did pick and roll.
I think there's some exciting stuff in store for the Timberwolves this season. I'm not just saying that because Taylor's on our show with us. I've legitimately been thinking about the Timberwolves, especially like it seems like since they were bought, they've just made good move after good move.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a good, because the league is so open, because there are so many question marks. It's the kind of season that a team like the Timberwolves hopefully will be able to take advantage of.
I hope so. Shay, who's your possible defensive player of the year?
I'm gonna go with Draymond Green because of his preseason shenanigans.
Ooh,
come on,
redemption tour.
He's like bringing in that energy. Again, like as much as I know I'm on my own little team over here, I'm sick of talking about the Warriors. They're gonna be relevant. We're going to be talking about them. And if anything, I think this is just going to like set him on fire, him being in the news this early. And he's going to be one to watch. I mean, right now I know that he's not favored for necessarily defensive player of the year, but also he is one that doesn't really care about expectations. So,
I mean, this is what Hardcourt Hunnies are for. We got that hot take system. All right, Shay, 6th man of the year. It's a little bit of a tricky one because teams kind of switch around on who they're being their 6th man. But players that you can think of.
Hold on. I'm like, I don't even know who's 6th man anymore. Because like a quick Google search says that like the odds right now are like Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, Christian Wood, Malcolm Brogdon.
Coming off the bench, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd expect Christian Wood to be starting.
See, and that's what I thought too, and I think that's what makes some of this so hard. Is like I wonder where some of these players are gonna like spend most of their season.
Yeah.
Like honestly, just the people that they have like on this list are people I either would expect to be starting or I would not pick. Like for example, number 2, Tyler Hero. Do not expect that because he like has underwhelmed me since the bubble.
He was sixth man last year.
Yeah, he was getting
He
20 a
won.
game.
So
Was
he was the sixth
Yeah.
man of the year last season.
Yeah, he was
Maybe
getting
I
20 a
just-
game. He's
Did I
almost to the point where he's going to be James Harden.
Did
He
I
wants
forget the
out.
Heat existed all last season?
Well, I think the thing that threw me for Tyler Hero was I was talking to a Heat fan and I was like, oh, Tyler Hero, I haven't heard much about him. He must not be having a great season. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I think for me, it's because I expected all the hype around him. He would be a starter. I
And maybe
expect to
that is
hear
it.
about him in starting minutes, and he's, but he's been productive as their number six, really productive as their number six. He's my pick again for this year, just because
Really?
six man's hard, especially because if anybody goes down in the starting lineup, that might be the person that gets all the starting minutes, and they no longer qualify to win the 6-man award if they start too many games, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So
Okay, sorry I didn't pay attention to you, Tyler Hero. Maybe I will this season.
well, he might jump up to the starting lineup, and they might switch Victor Oladipo to the bench and have him be coming off the bench with it. Which
I think based on performance, that's a thing. If I was Miami's coaching staff, I'd want to try at least.
Yep, I want to give the former All-Star a chance. At least being able to have the ball in his hands more. And rookie of the year, Jade.
Crap, I had this and now I can't remember who I wanted. Let me
Sorry, Shay, you can't go chat.
Fine.
Do that next year.
I think I'm trying to here, Kia rookie ladder. This will help me. Oh, these are old. These are from last year. Give me some names, because I know who I wanted to pick, and I can't remember the name now. Who were like the first 3 or 4?
Paulo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, Jabari Smith Jr.
I like Banchero.
Pancheros?
Yeah.
He's made good burritos too. Shay, what about you? They got good queso.
I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie. I have not looked.
This is kind of a weak draft class, I feel.
Yeah.
I think the upside of it is high, but it's going to need development. Like everybody in the draft class needs time and reps. There's nobody that they drafted that was just ready.
Like
there was no Scotty Barnes in this draft.
Exactly. Or I mean, the team that I'm a kind of like underdogly rooting for is the Pistons, only because like I like Cade Cunningham. I've always really liked Hamidou Diallo. I know right now he's like having a surgery and is sitting out the beginning. So maybe, if you add like Jaden Ivey there, I don't think this season the Pistons are going to be like super duper relevant, but I do think that with their young class of people coming in, that they definitely have the potential.
And they have the best coach in the NBA for a developing team.
Exactly. So I think
I was about to say, Dwayne Casey.
Yeah.
So I mean, sure, I'll go with Jaden Ivey. He's I think it's a sleeper team. Like I don't think this season we're gonna be like seeing them like. I think they're going to do some surprises, but also OKC also did that last year where we beat like the Lakers for no reason.
Everyone beat the Lakers for
I was going to say the reason is the Lakers sucked.
Oops.
Take of the day.
Said it. Had to be said though. I mean,
it had to be said.
I wish I had like some horns, just like I gotta get that. I gotta somehow get an app up for that.
That'd be great because that's such a Toronto
hot take of the day. That we'll just do that for hottest take of the day.
We'll have to figure out how to get some sound effects because I think that would be a lot of fun.
We'll do that off camera. We'll figure that out. Most improved player. This one is more of who you think is just gonna take a jump. Jade.
I did read something about people who might come up. I think I really need to write this stuff down when I'm like reading it so that I can recall it later.
Right?
I think it's gonna be it's such a hard one because it depends on what happens on the team. It depends on the person's availability. I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one. I have no idea where to even start on that.
That's
right
fair.
now.
We can gloss over that one. Let's go over coach.
We should revisit that one like mid-season.
Yes, we'll do mid-season predictions then with that when we got a
Yeah.
better idea. Do last one quick. Coach of the year.
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse. Shay.
I don't even know.
I'll talk about Nick Nurse while you're thinking about it then.
Yeah, talk about because I'm like,
Give a breakdown why Nick Nurse.
I think this is going to be. I did not say Nick Nurse last year. I thought the Raptors exceeded my expectations.
Sure.
Hey, it's on video. You can make all
Yeah,
the
we
blah
can
blah.
watch.
It's on video.
we have it.
This is going to be one of those seasons that is joyous to be a Raptors fan, I think, because they're going to be so much better than all the American media expects. Nobody's paid any attention to us since the end of the championship, which we expect as the Raptors. I mean, when we were drafting Scotty Barnes and my favorite former NBA personality, Rachel Nichols, was summarizing the picks of like the top 5, they skipped the Raptors. We had a top 5 lottery pick, and they go this team, skip number 4 and talk about number 5. And this happens all the time. So no one's paying attention. We have a ridiculous lineup of 6+ or almost 7-foot dudes, all with more than 7-foot wingspans. They can all handle the ball. We don't need Fran VanVleet to be on the floor. We have 6'9" ball handlers. They're going to be a problem. I think that the Raptors are going to win more games than people expect. And because they're not paying attention, Nick Nurse is going to get noticed in a way that's bigger than as Raptors fans. Because to us, it's like, yeah,
That's
like
true.
this is happening. But because people aren't paying attention, I'll
That
even
hurt
go
him though that no one's paying attention.
No, because the record.
Would you think they'll be top 2?
3 or 4.
Okay.
But like the Vegas odds have the Raptors only winning 44.5 games.
So you guys have to do top-notch stuff for him to get that coach of the year then now.
Yeah, but it's also like
Because if you're getting 44 wins, that's not going to be a 3 or 4 seed.
But that's what I'm saying. Because the Vegas odds and the things that they pay attention to are so low, there's no way the Raptors are only going to win. I'm putting money on it this year. It will be my first official basketball bet. Is I'm betting the over on the Raptors.
How many games though?
I would say that they're 50 to 55 win team.
55. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, we got some hot takes on that one again there too. Jeez. And Shay?
I think I'm gonna go with, oh my God, what's his name? I just had his name in my head.
Team?
The Nuggets
Nash.
coach. Michael Malone,
the
right?
Nuggets.
The Nuggets coach, Mike Malone.
Yeah, because like, okay, we have Joker, potentially another MVP candidate, depending on what he can do to help Jamal Murray come back. That's another team that seems to have all of its pieces now that Jamal Murray is back. So,
and who's the other guy? One of those 3-name guys, isn't it, on the Nuggets that's back this year too?
Oh, its face is in my head.
Yeah.
Wait, who? Sorry.
The other guy from the Nuggets that was injured.
Michael Porter Jr.
I knew it was 3 names. Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I was like, it's gonna come out of my mouth.
It's a back injury. He's been having that injury since high school. He signed the $200 million contract, which that could really
good for him.
Yeah,
he got the bag. Way to get the bag, but
wow,
Denver really, I think, botched that one. But
I think. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Come on, Mike Malone.
Expectations this year. Okay. So my quick MVP, I hate saying this, but Joel Embiid. He's been getting snubbed the past few years. I hate saying it, but I got Joel Embiid Defensive Player of the Year. Bam. I thought he was shortchanged last year for Defensive Player of the Year. Granted, congratulations, Marcus Smart, Coach of the Year. Jade, I'm gonna have to do a couple hometowner thing in Chris Finch. I have us bouncing from 7th to 4th. I have us only going through the second round because that's just their first time through, like real time through. But I got us going. I got Chris Finch, Coach of the Year, but that depends on injuries. Then Rookie of the Year, the Paulo Banchero. Sixth Man of the Year, I got Malcolm Brogdon. I love the guy. I can't give him enough praises. He's one of the most efficient players at the league, especially at his position. Yeah, that's all I got for that stuff. Okay, now we're gonna do some local expectations. So Jade, what is what's your overall? You said 50 to 55, but like what's a worry for you this season?
I don't have any.
Oh, bull.
Listen, last season I said it was going to be a terrible season to be a Raptors fan. They were not going to be very good. I'm always honest about how I feel about my team, even when I think they're going to be bad. I am. And I don't think they're going to be bad this year. I think Gary Trent Jr. is going to take a step forward. He's another one of those crazy productive players that people just don't super pay attention to. I think picking up Otto Porter Jr. for the Raptors. Otto, is that the right name?
Otto Porter Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Why are there so many Porter Juniors in the NBA right now?
What's his contract though?
I'm not sure.
Because he's always, no matter what team he's been on, he's always got bloated contracts. Always.
Well, Masai Ujiri is not.
I know he always says that, but
dude.
Every single team, no matter how smart, even on the Golden State Warriors last year, they paid him more than they should have.
They only paid him 12.3 for 2 years. So he's only making 6.15.
He's finally at the true.
Yeah, Masai Ujiri does not overpay.
We get it, Masai Ujiri.
we let Kyle Lowry go instead of paying him.
I will shut my. Hey, Shay, what is your worry this year for whichever team you're going to shoot for?
Okay, so I'm gonna throw out really quick for both. OKC, my worry is that this is going to be SGA's last attempt. And that would be smart as a player for him because he is still young enough for a team to put him in a position where he could be a superstar, if not a support for a superstar. So OKC needs to smarten up before they lose him. I think they have potential because they have Lou Dort and Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey is finally back. So that support system of the three of them potentially could be where, like, you know, they take off the season after. Don't think it's this season. But if I was SGA, I would be, you know, like, I'd have one foot out the door just to have that safety net. So my thing for the Nets is that, you know, KD wanted out. KD wanted out, and all of a sudden he didn't want out. But we all know KD is kind of a sad boy. He's an emotional person.
Mr. Miserable by Charles Barkley.
Exactly. So, like, just because he got paid or whatever they offered him to stay, that underneath the table, whatever. There was probably negotiations that happened because it was very quick how he rescinded that. It was only out there for like a week and a half, maybe longer. I don't really know time anymore. But my big worry is that that's going to blow up on the court because we've seen it before when KD's not happy. The issue, too, is we love Steve Nash. He is an NBA sweetheart from his time playing. This is his last season. If he does not figure out how to get this team further and get this team on a solid ground or a somewhat solid ground, at least 1 foot on some kind of something, he's out. This is like, I mean, he's not really done great as a coach. Like, I think he's done fine.
He's a coach that they just threw into the most toxic environment.
Right. I agree. I think
why I'm like, he's fine.
Steve Nash, I think you're right. I think if things don't go differently, Steve Nash will be fired. It won't be a solution. It won't even be touching a solution to the Nets.
He got booed the
issues.
other night, actually.
Really?
At home court, Steve Nash was at Barclays Arena after they did the starting lineup, and they're like, and the coach, Steve Nash. He got
See, that's
booed.
sad because it is not his fault. Like you said, he was thrown in the lion's den and then expected to figure it out. He's had superstars that are leaving, coming. You know, they acquired Ben Simmons when he was like not playing to be a solution, but that wasn't a solution for the season. You have
Well, I mean, you got to remember Harden wanted out
true,
too,
true.
right? Like again, like all of the issues that Nash has had to deal with have not originated with Steve Nash. They've originated with Kyrie Irving, with James Harden, with Kevin Durant, with the decisions that the people over his head are making.
Yeah.
And like, I like to take this moment for us to gloat collectively as a show because we called this and we called it hard. We
By
called
whoever
this
that guy was. I can't remember what his name was.
Brian Falco.
That's what it was. Oh, he was making fun of us, saying that our take was terrible.
He pretty much yelled at me. You're wrong.
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. They're going to, and I was like, and they didn't get, and I knew it. We knew it. All three of us. One of the things that we have been on the same page on from day one was the Nets are not going to get anywhere near these predictions. They're not built for it. And again, that speaks to so many basketball analysts only look at numbers. And if you looked at that team just on paper, yeah, they should have dominated. But when you have uber sensitive, no leadership Kevin Durant, and that's not a knock on him. I'm a very sensitive person as well. I'm not saying that's not a criticism. It's just a fact.
Right.
And it affects his ability to be a leader. Kyrie Irving, who I think has undiagnosed mental health issues, thinks he's a leader, obviously is not. James Harden, worst superstar work ethic since Shaq. Like, come on. They're like,
get your way, get fat yourself out.
Right. Like,
that's a new way.
The numbers of those three players, amazing. But basketball is just as much about the intangible ways that people interact and people handle themselves. You cannot go just by numbers.
I feel bad for everybody on the bench for not Phoenix, Brooklyn. I was just like, God, I just want to play.
Really.
Why is this like, I would avoid that team if I were a player at all costs. I don't care.
And then you get to live in New York City.
I feel bad for Ben Simmons. I'm not convinced that's not true. It's going to be better than Philly because anywhere's better than Philly.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, like if I was a basketball player, I'd rather play for Orlando than play for Philly. I'd rather play for Sacramento than play for Philly.
Hey, Sacramento's a great basketball team. Nonetheless, isn't good, but city-wise, Sacramento's a nice city.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, Philadelphia makes the playoffs and they finish, top of their conference and blah 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 blah. I would not want to play for those fans, knowing they could turn on you at a second. And I understand, I think, Ben Simmons a lot. I feel people's emotions as if they're mine. So I can only imagine if he has any of that kind of sensitivity like I have, and I think that he probably does, to be in a stadium full of 10, 14, 20,000 people that hate you.
He was a guy that sold out, so he was definitely a person that would be 20,000 people.
Right. And that depending on your personal makeup, that energy can be damaging.
Exactly.
I'm the kind of person that energy would be damaging for. I know it. I would not be able to handle it. So I understand why he didn't want to play there. Especially he's only ever played there. He's only ever played in Philly.
Yeah, that's a fair one. Wow, we really bounced off of that local expectation. Holy cow.
Well, they're gonna be
I'll bring it back because I did mean to talk about Ben Simmons in Brooklyn, Shay's local team. I'm a little worried about him in Brooklyn too, I'm not gonna lie. Not just because the dynamic of the team between the coaching, the management, and those other guys.
He needs to be in a small market.
There's no person on the Nets right now that's going to provide stability.
No, exactly.
There's nobody.
Trying to think of a franchise that could give him the confidence.
Toronto.
Do you want him on your squad?
I would in a second.
You would?
Wow.
Yeah. I
Okay,
think
that was the big thing with the Timberwolves. We were like, we're a small enough market. He's friends with D'Angelo Russell. At the time, I was like, we need a guy that can just get the rebound, take it down the court. The guy before this entire fiasco of him, the year before, was second overall for Defensive Player of the Year voting. The guy was getting a steal and a half and 2 blocks a game.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just like, hey, he's a defensive player that we need right now. He can snag rebounds and get us assists. Like,
Yeah.
so
thing
I
that
wasn't
people
completely
miss
on board, but like if that trade would have been pulled off, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah, it's another one of those situations where people look at performance instead of situation, which is a thing we always do on this show. Ben Simmons is a special basketball player.
He is.
Like, if you've watched his highlights all the way from high school, he is incredibly talented, but the situation matters for some players. Not all players can go into any market and any situation and power through it because they're people. There's a human aspect that has to be considered.
The only people I think really succeed in a Philadelphia system are people that are trolls.
Trolls, Troll indeed.
Exactly.
Like, there's a
Guy that
reason
embraces being a
that marriage is perfect on both sides.
That's why
It works.
That's why you couldn't have Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid together. You can't have too many trolls on that team, though.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to be trolling it. Yeah. But okay. So I think we've been doing a solid stuff today. We've done the bounce away for stuff, but we've missed a lot of time. And a lot of things have happened this just past few months and this just summer. So as usual, we will wrap it up with the fast break. And for those of you who have forgotten what the fast break is at the end of the episode where I come up with 3 questions that Shay and Jade have no knowledge of, and I'll see if they can get it right. Okay, so first question. We'll go to we'll start with you, Jade. So Duncan is one of the most blocked players of all time. Who has blocked him the most? Shaq, KG, or Ben Wallace?
Ben Wallace.
Shay?
KD.
KG? You mean?
KG. Yeah, sorry. Nets to KG.
Shay is correct.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Shay is correct. Garnett has blocked him. And this is how long that Tim Duncan played for and how good he was. Garnett only blocked him 33 times.
Wow.
That's how good Tim Duncan was. One of the greatest defensive power forwards of all time. Only got 33 blocks on him.
Were they in the same division at any point?
They were in the same conference, so they were still playing. And since it was Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett matchup, they were 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah.
But think of the early 2000s with Shaq and Tim Duncan, Lakers and Spurs, 2 top teams going at it constantly. And Ben Wallace, the only reason why I threw Ben Wallace's name is because he's a 3-time defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to be up.
That's why I went there. Like, it's such an obvious.
That was my curveball with it. That was my curveball.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. So, which player didn't play for all 3 of these teams in Philadelphia, Brooklyn, or Lakers? Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, or Andre Drummond? So I'm going to repeat it one more time. So which player of those 3, Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, and Andre Drummond, didn't play for all 3 teams in Philadelphia, Brooklyn, and Los Angeles Lakers? Shay?
That's
what I was going to say is Drummond.
Both of you say Drummond?
Yeah.
Wrong.
What?
Really?
Dwight Howard never played for Brooklyn.
What was the third team?
It was Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Lakers.
But Dwight Howard played for the Lakers.
Yeah. It was teams that they didn't play for.
Am I the only one confused, Jay?
No, I'm confused. Like,
which player didn't play for all 3 of these teams in Philadelphia, Brooklyn, and Lakers?
Oh,
so they didn't play for either. these are three big men that have been passed around the league.
Right.
But DeAndre Jordan and Andre Drummond played for those three teams. Dwight Howard only played for two.
For
Oh,
two.
I
Okay.
see.
Oh,
It's clearer now.
Oh, man, that was one that I was really excited for because I've been holding up on that one for a hot minute.
Oh, I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Okay. Last question. Jade, I'll start with you. Okay, so which franchise has one player to hold records in every major category? An example of points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. So which franchise?
I will say
I won't have you guess if you can guess, obviously if you could guess the player, great, but we'll just go with the franchise.
Wherever Wilt Chamberlain played the longest.
So in Los Angeles, because he was a Philadelphia.
Man, he was around.
What?
He got around a little bit.
He was in Philadelphia and he was in Los Angeles.
Which franchise? I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna say San Antonio.
San Antonio.
I'm gonna go with Philadelphia.
I'm
go
totally
with Philadelphia.
guessing.
One player that holds all of the major records. Okay. Well,
that's a hard one.
Yeah. Thank you, StatMuse. Thank you.
StatMuse is amazing.
There will be, you know what? A little heads up if you guys want to maybe see if you can figure out answers before me. Check out StatMuse.
Hey, I already get notifications from StatMuse, so I will
watch out for StatMuse, and because a lot of times that's where I'm getting the questions from, or I'm doing a variety of it. So, all Hardcourt Hunnies fans, if you want some obscure facts on NBA, NFL, baseball, MLB, go check that out. StatMuse is great. I love them. Okay. And then Shay, what'd you say? You said Philadelphia? And then you said San Antonio, Jade?
Yeah.
Okay. It's my Minnesota Timberwolves. Just Kevin Garnett with points.
I was going to say, it had to, as soon as you said Timberwolves, I knew it had to be KG.
I know. I went with like Jade's Wilt Chamberlain thing too, because once you said it, I was like, yeah, Chamberlain, obviously, but it was KG. Yeah.
Chamberlain essentially split his career in Philadelphia and Los Angeles. Like when he scored the 100, that was in Philadelphia.
Philly, yeah.
True.
But when he got the title and he was getting 50 points per game, that's when he was in LA, which that'll never be broken. I'll see the 100-point game broken before 50 points a game per season. Or in a season.
That's madness.
That's never going to happen again. Never going to
happen. And you can't even, there are a lot of old records that you chalk up to it being a different era and the different rules and all that stuff. But that one is transcendent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the rules are different. That is just a ridiculous accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay. Minus having that one fast break question totally bomb. I thought they were pretty good. I thought today is a great episode back. We've been gone for it. And like I said at the beginning, thank you so much about staying patient with us and then coming back to listen. One quick shout out for me, and I guess Shay and Jade, if you have some, go for it. But I'm going to shout out to the Facebook group I'm a part of in Flip's Army. They finally gave me the okay to share the podcast online.
Oh, nice.
So Flip's Army, shout out to you.
Guys.
Michelle, thank you for allowing me to post this. It means a lot. So I can see you guys with it. Shay and Jade, do you guys have any other last second shout outs? I know it's not something we really did too often, but this is finally a thing that was allowed, and I wanted to make sure that Flip's Army got a shout out for it.
Yeah, no, that sounds like we should leave it just for them today.
Yeah, okay, I like that too.
Just for them today. Awesome. Okay, there you go, Flip's Army. Michelle, thanks so much. But on that note, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.